Welcome to session 2 of Next Generation Leadership Academy. I'm so grateful that you guys have joined us today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. In fact, today are 3 of my favorite topics that we're going to be talking about. And we are in the Real World Superpowers book that is Success Principles for the Next Generation. You can now get it on Amazon, and if you want hardcover, you can now get it in Barnes and Noble. But today we have an incredible guest who is with us. This gentleman has been recognized all across the nation as top 40 under 40. He is an inspiration to so many people. He's an incredible leader that's just raised that's the word, so many leaders in this country, and we have him here tonight on the call. I am so extremely excited. So with that, please everybody stand to your Zoom feet and help me welcome Mr. Lou Moya, everybody, to the Zoom stage. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. LeCue. Appreciate the honor of being a guest speaker here on this call with all of you fine leaders this evening. And listen, when I was asked to share, some insights as to what this book is really about, I was honored because, listen, Liz LeCue is a personal mentor of mine. Not only has she, transcended so many challenges as a young leader herself, she's instilled that upon thousands and thousands of people. And so to be walking and working alongside a living legend is an honor to me, and I can't be more excited, more thrilled for you for publishing this book, which I'm absolutely enjoying reading and learning more from you. And I know a lot of these stories firsthand, but also to see it published has been absolutely mind blowing, right? And so I get to share with you a little bit about the 4 key things that we want to learn from this next chapter that we're discussing. Last week, we went through chapters 1, 2, and 3. And this week, we're going to talk about chapter 4, okay? And chapter 4 has just been absolutely such a helpful chapter, especially if you're a younger generational leader. Like myself, I started my leadership journey in my 20s, and I'm now in my late 30s, and now just being able to look back to see who I've become, the type of individual that I've become through personal development by reading books just like this. And so when Miss LeCue wrote this book, she had the future generations in mind, right? And so even in the title, it says Success Principles for the Next Generation. So this is Liz's legacy that she's leaving behind with us. And so let's talk a little bit about, the first point that I wanted to get into is basically the thought of jumping in, right? And that's how this chapter starts off. It invites us to jump in. Now, sometimes jumping in doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have all the answers, right? And thank God for that, because when I was getting started, I didn't have all the answers. All I knew is I had to decide to get started, right? There are 2 types of people who jump into a swimming pool, or better said, 2 types of kids that jump into swimming pools, right? And so those types of people, one, you got the one that dips their toes in the water and tests out the temperature, and it's excruciatingly painful and uncomfortable every step of the way. But as soon as they get used to the temperature of the water, they take another step and it gets uncomfortable again, and that's just excruciating the whole time. But then the second type of person steps back and says, "Mom, watch this," right? And then they go running and they jump and cannonball right into the water, and it's uncomfortable for them too, but they get used to the temperature a lot faster. So sometimes we got to ask ourselves, which one do we want to be? Do we want to go slow and try to figure it all out? Or do we want to just get started, right? And she meets us with incredible examples, celebrities, people who've had humble beginnings, like Haley Bailey, right? Who plays Ariel in the new Disney's Little Mermaid, and how she got started in her launch to fame by posting a YouTube video with her and her sister singing. And that caught wind to one of the best singing legends of our time, Beyonce Knowles, who signed her to her record label, her and her sister. But had it not been for them posting that video, would that success had happened? Probably not, right? Or maybe it would have been delayed. But she made a decision to jump in, right? Other examples, like Billie Eilish. We all know Billie Eilish and her music, and it's beautiful. She has a beautiful singing voice, but incredible writing ability. And she had no record label to begin with. She started writing songs in her bedroom with her brother Phineas, and through that, she was able to become one of the greatest songwriters and singers of our generation. So the point of the matter is you don't have to be great to get started. You just have to start and become great. So make that decision to jump in. And what a great leadership tip for us. What a great success principle for us. Because listen, sometimes we become too analytical. We call it analysis or paralysis through analysis, right? Sometimes we just get paralyzed because we're so set and stuck in our ways that we cannot make a decision until I'm ready, until this happens, until the circumstances, until life and all the stars align. Well, guess what? The stars are never going to align. So we have to choose and decide for ourselves to jump in now. All right. And we can do that in so many areas in our lives, not just in business, but in health, in relationships, in finances, in spirituality, right? And so for all of us to be able to do that, we're able to go out there and build not only leadership skills for ourselves, but the people we instill it upon. So let's talk about action, taking action. So let me go ahead and share my screen here because I want to have a point of visualization for you guys as we go in. And thank you, Ms. LeCue, for um, making me the host here. And so, action is something that we all need to decide to take. Keyword today is going to be decide, right? And what does the word decide mean? Decide means to kill any option. Right? If you think about, other words that end in side, none of them are positive words, right? Like genocide, homicide, suicide, but it all means the same thing, to kill off any other option, any other choice. But the word decide means that you're making a choice, right? And what you do not change is what you choose. And so when you decide when to take action to become an action star, now you're going to start moving in the right direction, right? And so in that subheading is just get in motion. We're taught here that Tony Robbins mentions this quote here: motion creates positive emotion. Right? Now, isn't that true? A lot of times we're out there and we just don't feel like it sometimes, right? We, in our business, for some of you guys who are with us in our Legal Shield opportunity, our business talks about doing 2 exposures a day, right? That's getting into motion, and motion is to be in action. And so if we're out there trying to make our 2 exposures a day, I'm pretty sure that a lot of us here can relate that that first phone call weighs 1,000 pounds, right? And but the second one can weigh just about 1 pound because that pressure is off, right? And so one of the key principles of success that I learned was get it out of the way as early as you can, right? Even Liz mentions it in the book. It says the earlier in the day that I took action, the better I felt about myself. Each day it got easier to take action by consistently taking action. You and then began to consistently make sales. And so if you're in a sales arena or in a sales business, getting into motion is going to create an exciting emotion. It's going to create positive emotion. But if you're stagnant, if you're not moving, if you're not taking action, doesn't it just make sense that you're going to feel the opposite, right? And that's why Brendan Burchard, as we see here, he has something called the law of congruence. Law of congruence states that whenever you're not doing what you know you should be doing, it leads to self-loathing. You end up pitying yourself. You end up hating yourself, right? And that's something that we don't want to take into account for ourselves, right? And so the more we procrastinate, the worse we feel about ourselves, right? And so in the idea of taking action, we don't want to wait to take action. We don't want to put off to for tomorrow something that you can start today. So think about it. Ask yourself, what am I putting off that I could start on today? Maybe it was a phone call that you've been waiting to make. Maybe it was a health decision that you're dying to take, but you're putting it off because procrastination, in fact, is the number one leading cause of death, right? Procrastination causes a lot of people to suffer. And so it just makes sense that when you're not doing what you know you should be doing, it leads to self-loathing. But one key thing that I learned that helps me in having congruence, and being congruent just means you're in harmony with what you're aiming towards, right? And so what is the harmony that you're speaking about? It could be your why, it could be what you're sick and tired of, it could be the never again, feeling. And so that needs to match or harmonize with your actions and your activity. And so we understand that a lot of it doesn't come from being motivated, right? Motivation, when you think about it, it comes and goes like the wind. However, commitment is something that stays. So there's that difference, right, of being committed and then being absolutely, motivated. But again, like motivation is something that not everyone keeps, right? It's just as easy to lose motivation as it is to get it. Anybody here ever have a New Year's resolution? Right? And by the 8th of the month, you're already out of it because you're no longer motivated. You might be motivated to hit the gym tomorrow, and then the next day, you're all set. My legs hurt. I know Lewis Roman just went on an 8 mile run yesterday, or maybe it might be longer than that. But his legs are absolutely sore. He probably can't even walk today, right? And so to have commitment means I'm going to do it again, whether I want to or not, right? And that, asking yourself, where does that come from? Where does it come from to be motivated? Well, Liz gives us incredible examples of huge motivational people like Kobe Bryant, who was at the gym every single day, which is why he became one of the greatest NBA stars of all time, right? He was consistent in his actions every single day. So asking ourselves, hey, are we consistent in our actions every single day? Am I motivated every single day? You don't have to be motivated every single day, but if you're committed to being someone of action every day, you will have the success you're looking for, right? We also have the example of Dwayne, The Rock Johnson, right? And we see how he pushed through tough times relentlessly and even became one of the most famous wrestlers in the world. He became a wrestler after his football career failed, right? And is he a wrestler today? No, we know him to be something else. He's one of the greatest actors of all time. So asking yourself, hey, am I taking action steps to be the best version of me possible? And where does the motivation come from? Well, ask yourself, what is my why? What is the reason, right? Because you don't have to, again, start to become great. No, sorry, you don't have to become great to start. You have to start to become great. It says here in this quote here, which is a Ralph Waldo Emerson, he stated that you got to do the thing and you shall have the power. It doesn't say have the power and then go do the thing, right? It's go do the thing and you shall have the power, right? And so motivation doesn't always come before you take the action. It usually comes after action is taken, right? So just take that first step and you'll feel excited to do more, right? But success comes from consistent action. So you got to make sure consistency is your friend. So this chapter really goes into great points as to how we can have that consistency in our lives, and something that Jeff Olson wrote a book about called The Slight Edge. Right now, the slight edge is simply principles and disciplines you practice religiously every single day that'll either give you a positive or a negative result, right? So when you ask yourself, well, hey, if I eat a McDonald's Big Mac today, is that going to hurt my health? Well, probably not. But what if you ate a Big Mac every single day for the next 5 years? Would that have an impact in your health? Absolutely. On the opposite token, if you ate, good, nutritious, nutrient dense foods every day, would that have a positive effect on your life in the next 5 years? Absolutely. Right? It's based on the idea that success is not a result of a single big effort, right? Success comes from really small disciplines and actions performed consistently over an extended period of time. So where else could you have learned that, right? Well, we have amazing books and stuff that give us a lot of these teachings. In fact, Liz learned these books. I've learned these books through my daily personal development. But to be able to pass on that knowledge in her own way, and to be able to provide that knowledge for us to learn is absolutely incredible. Even finance knowledge, right? Because if you were to take $1 a day and save, in a year, you'd have $365, right? But if you did $10 every day, you'd have $3,600, right? And if you did that consistently for 10 years, you'd have $36,500. It's about those simple, consistent disciplines. Can you practice that in your day to day, right? In anything that you do? Could you do 10 push-ups a day, right? Maybe you can't do 10. Can you start with one and gradually grow because your consistency is bringing you results, right? So, what are some things that we can do and wake up and decide on every single day that can help us be more consistent? Well, every day you have to decide to save $1. Every day you have to decide to do the push-ups. Every day you have to decide to go to work, right? And so it's not like you can make a decision one time and set it on autopilot. You have to consistently, consciously make those decisions every day. So it does take disciplines and it does take good habits, right? And so the fourth point we want to talk about is your habits. Oh, sorry. I didn't know these points were here. So your habits every single day. Here's something that I learned. Your habits equals your attitude. Your attitude equals your actions. Your actions equals your results, whether they're good or bad, right? Now, can you think about it? That maybe you're getting bad results because your habits aren't so great. Or maybe you're getting great results because you have amazing habits. And so you have to be able to know that your habits are going to come from your philosophies, right? And in this book, it talks about 21 days to form a great habits. It takes 21 days, right? And Liz actually created this habit tracker that you can use and you can actually print right from your website, lizleque.now.site. And so you're able to, decide which habits you're going to start practicing today, right? Like it says here, I love this quote that says, like a postage stamp, stick to it until you arrive, right? So, what habit can we stick to until we arrive to a destination of consistency? And that consistency will lead to the result that we're looking for, right? And so, like, like Liz was talking about, one of her goals was to lose 10 pounds. And so she started to track, those habits. Instead of ordering a hamburger at the drive-through, she changed her habits to getting a lettuce wrap style burger. Or instead of getting ice cream when she felt like having sweets, she changed that habit to eating strawberries, bananas, grapes, and pineapples, right? And so, each day went by, her ability to make healthier decisions became easier because she was tracking that. And it took about 21 days for her to turn each one of those into a habit, something that you no longer have to consciously think about, right? Sometimes we do things consistently enough that we don't even have to think about it anymore, just like breathing, right? Do we have to think about breathing these days? No, I mean never, right? But it's just a natural thing that we unconsciously do. You become unconsciously competent, right? Yeah, absolutely. Stop drinking soda and water. Start drinking soda and start drinking water. It's just the better way to go. And so, we have these incredible tools at our disposal because of this amazing book that Ms. LeCue wrote for us to be able to have success principles that really that show us, treat us, and give us exact philosophies, principles, and experiences that help us make better decisions, which will give us better habits. And those better habits are going to create consistent results for you in your life. So thank you so much, Ms. LeCue, for allowing me to impart wisdom here this afternoon, this evening. And I'll turn the call over back to you.
I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we all appreciate you. Now let's move on to the next section, the power of your thoughts. How do you think? Positive thoughts, negative thoughts flying through our minds constantly all day long. And whatever we spend our time thinking about, we attract more of. For example, if you constantly think about how much you dislike going to school and you're in school, you'll likely find more reasons to be unhappy there. But on the other hand, if you focus on all the other things that you enjoy about it, socializing with your friends, participating in your favorite activities, you'll start to notice more positive aspects of the school experience. If you spend your time worrying about the lack of money, guess what? You'll find more reasons why you can't afford things. However, if you focus on thinking, how can I afford this? Your mind will get creative and find ways to make the money and achieve your goals. See, successful leaders don't teach their teams what to do, they teach their teams how to think. Now, one of the things I want to teach you how to think about today is to think like the owner. Think like the owner. My very first job was at a pizzeria in New Jersey. It was one of the most popular pizzerias out there. And I worked for three big, strong Italian brothers. I used to joke that I was working for the mafia because every time guys would come in and try to talk to me, they'd stand over them with their big muscles, and look down at them and cross their arms. And then they were so nice to us and all the customers. But as soon as they walked back into the kitchen, they started screaming and shouting and fighting with each other, throwing dishes at each other. I mean, sometimes throwing punches, and you're like, oh my goodness. So anyway, it was definitely a fun time working at that pizzeria. But the owner, Jeremy, used to always say, hey, Liz, if you want to be successful, you got to think like the owner. So to get to the top of your company, you don't want to think like the employee. You want to think like the owner. What does the owner do? The owner goes above and beyond to make the customers happy. The owner treats other people with respect and takes care of the store or business, you know, like it's their own because it is their own. That's how they became the owner. The oldest owner of the company, of the pizzeria, Jeremy, he used to always think of ways to improve the customer experience. He'd make sure every pizza, cheese, and cannoli was made with like the most expensive, best quality material. And he'd always be like playing and making different dishes to try to invent new dishes. He was the guy that invented garlic knots. Have you ever tried garlic knots? He was the guy. It came from this particular pizzeria in New Jersey. It's awesome. So, anyway, when it comes to being the owner, what are other things? Feel free to put it into the chat. What are other things that the owner does? A lot of the times, if you do what you say you're going to do, that's what a business owner does, right? You do what you say you're gonna do. If you say you're gonna call, then call. If you say you're gonna be there, then be there. Avoid over committing just to please other people. Because if you overcommit and you don't deliver on your promise, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost your boss, your customers, your friend. These people will be much more grateful to you when you're honest about your limitations and you don't jeopardize the project or the deadline. So while everyone else might be thinking like the employee and putting in minimal effort, you want to think like the owner. You'll definitely stand out and you'll go all the way to the top. Another thing you want to think about is to think like the minority. Let's look at this chart here for a second. See, 95% of the world are followers, and only 5% of the world are leaders. 95% of the world are consumers of products and services, and 5% of the world are creators. 95% of the world complain about the problems while 5% innovate the solutions. 95% of the world are made up of the middle class and poor, and 5% of the world are wealthy. 95% of the world are employees and plan to stay there. 5% of the world are entrepreneurs and learning how to be business owners. 95% of the world, so that makes up the majority. If you want to be a leader, a creator, an innovator, wealthy, or a business owner, you have got to be okay with being part of the minority. Your friends aren't going to understand you. They might not get what you're doing, trying to create wealth. They might not understand it. They might not get it, but that's okay. That's because the majority is doing something else. But you've got to be okay with being part of the minority. It's okay that people don't understand you because superheroes don't fit in. They stand out. That's what you do. You're not supposed to be like everybody else. You're supposed to shine in your own superpower in every single way. So, where do positive thoughts come from? There are 5 distinct places that positive thoughts come from. And the first place that positive thoughts come from is from regular exercise. People always ask me, hey, can you give me, what is your secret to success? And my answer would always surprise them. I'd always say, well, my secret to success is exercising first thing in the morning. I know Sue probably does the same thing, right? And it always shocks them because it has nothing to do with business. It has nothing to do with career, but it has everything to do with it because that exercise gives you endorphins. It gives you energy. even when you don't feel like doing it, you don't feel like going to the gym, but who's ever gone to the gym because you force yourself to go there, and then while you're there, you're like on the treadmill or you're on the elliptical, and like 5 minutes in, the blood starts flowing, the endorphins start flowing, and your breathing gets deeper, and you feel great, and you're like, oh, thank God I came. Has anyone felt that way? Oh, this feels great. I'm so glad that I did it. So exercising consistently every day, and the earlier in the day that you can do it, it'll set your day up right. The second place where positive thoughts come from, believe it or not, and someone said it here earlier on the call, is to drink more water. Water is the new drink of the wealthy. Soda is for the uneducated. And that's because too many studies and research shows the deterioration of health from sugary drinks and nerve damage in the brain from artificial sweeteners like diet sodas and zero sugar drinks. You know, our bodies are about 60% water. So to keep things running smoothly, we need to drink more water and, make it more regular, because we lose it through sweating and breathing and exercise and all that. Dr. Daniel Amen, who is one of the most famous brain health experts here in Southern California, he says that even the slightest dehydration can raise stress hormones, which can damage the brain over time. I'll say that again. He said even the slightest dehydration can raise stress hormones, which will cause brain damage over time. So fill up your big jug, keep guzzling all day long. This will help you have more positive thoughts. He suggests drinking at least 10 cups of water a day to keep the brain hydrated and functioning optimally. A lot of the times when we're feeling tired, we're like, oh, I need to go get a cup of coffee because I need to wake up my brain. But what your brain is craving for actually is water. Caffeine dehydrates the brain. So when we're feeding it the caffeine, we're actually getting even more dehydrated. And the brain, what it really wants is it just wants more water. And in Dr. Amen's studies, he shows that proper hydration can improve blood flow to the brain, which in turn can enhance your mood and cognitive function and potentially reducing symptoms of depression. Water, who knew it? So why not give your body what it needs by drinking more water and avoiding the soda, the sugar, and the diet drinks to keep your brain happy? Where else does positive thoughts come from? Nutrient dense foods. What's a nutrient dense food? Nutrient dense foods are foods full of vitamins and minerals like fruits and vegetables and lean meats and fish. Nutrient dense, now say on the opposite, nutrient deficient foods are void of vitamins and minerals, like some of my old favorites: pizza, hot dogs, pasta. Although super tasty, super addicting, it doesn't give you the best energy. Because, like, who's ever gotten a big pizza pie and, like, you knew you could have finished it if you wanted to? Like, you could finish that whole pizza pie if you had to. Why? It's because we eat, or maybe you ate more slices than you were planning on eating. What happened there? You were full. Your stomach was even full. Who's ever like gone out to eat and your stomach was so full, but you still wanted to keep shoveling it in? Why? It's because the belly was full, but the body was like, I need nutrients. You haven't given me any. I am still hungry. And this is a lot of the times why people overeat, because they're eating nutrient deficient foods instead of nutrient dense foods. That's why we feel sluggish after eating the pizza. But if you eat salmon, kale, strawberries, your body's buzzing with mental clarity and energy. Who here has ever eaten several bowls of cereal back in the day? Your belly feels full, but it's still hungry. It's saying, give me nutrients. So now that we know this can help you feel your best, not just in your body, but in your mental health too. We need to take care of our mental health. Without vitamins and minerals, you actually will feel irritated, agitated, sad, or even have anxiety, and you can't figure out why. It's subtle, but having the right nutrients can seriously level up your energy during the day. Where else does positive thoughts come from? Sleep. Sleep. Who else is cranky like me when you don't get a good night's sleep? I need my sleep and I'm a happy girl. Okay. Um, did you know that 72% of high school students right now don't get the recommended 8 hours of sleep a night? A lot of it is caused by the excessive screen time, looking at it and having trouble falling asleep because of looking at that light. So this has increased mood swings and increased risk of mental health problems in young adults. Heck, this is problems in older adults and mature adults. So getting enough sleep can significantly improve our energy levels, our overall well-being. So go to bed earlier. Go to bed earlier. It's not sleeping in later. It's going to bed earlier that'll start us on the right track. And number 5, where do positive thoughts come from? They come from personal development. I mean, Lou Moya here, who is one of my favorite speakers of all time, he listens to so many positive audios and reads so many positive personal development books that I have seen you overcome any challenge that comes your way. I mean, you are my superhero. You are incredible. And you have the energy to encourage others because your cup overflows from all the positivity that you listen to every single day. Every single time Lou talks and speaks, so much positivity comes out because you're putting so much in. So pick up the personal development books, right? Read more books. I love books so much that I color coordinated them in my library upstairs. They are rainbow. So I've got like red books and then orange books, yellow, red, orange, yellow, green, Roy G. Biv. Okay, I've got it. I've got the green, blue, purple. And, you know, these are books that made me who I am today. They help me go through hard times. Reading books actually helps me reduce my anxiety. So if I'm feeling like anxious or nervous, most people want to pull the phone and start scrolling to help them calm down, but looking at the phone more actually increases the anxiety. And we all know that. That's common sense and we all feel it. But when we pick up a book, we start to relax. It starts to speak life into us. You know, 3 places that I've gotten great encouragement from myself are attending church every week. I mean, I've gotten incredible personal development and leadership training from going to church. I've gotten great personal development from reading the Bible. One of my pastors gave me the acrostic BIBLE, stands for Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. Love it. And then also, I love plugging into company calls and team trainings and stuff. Anytime your leader has a training going on, get plugged into it. Go to those live events. In our company, we have stuff called Super Saturdays, where we are given personal development. People are coming out and flying across the country to speak life into us. And if someone's willing to do that, and the ticket's only like $25, go get it. Receive, fill up your gas tank so you have enough to overflow to others. Okay. Let's talk about the chapter 6, which is the power of Riz, aka charisma. The power of Riz. This is the secret to winning with people. Whether it's dating, whether it's relationships, friendships, business, leadership, you got to have the power of Riz. And it's easy to get. A lot of people think, oh, no, you need to be born with that personality. No, it's not a personality trait. It is a skill that anyone can have. See, Maya Angelou said that I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, and people will never forget how you made them feel. So you probably heard the term Riz from trying to get the girl. If you haven't heard Riz, just ask a Gen Z and they will tell you. It's my little one's walking around always he says he's trying to get his Riz up. And so, but the word that I'm talking about is charisma. And there's many different definitions of charisma, but here's my favorite one. It's the ability to make others feel good about themselves when they're around you. It's like having a magnetic charm that draws people in and makes them feel positive when they talk to you. Now, charisma is often linked to being a great leader because it helps you influence and inspire others. I've got amazing friends who I believe are on the line tonight, Kevin and Linda Torres, who are Mr. and Mrs. Charisma. Every time you see Kevin, he is big, happy smile, giving you a big hug. He makes you feel like the most important person in the room. He'll go out of the way to make you like treated well. And he, every time we go traveling, everyone's responsible for their own travel, but Kevin goes out of his way to rent a car and then finds out when everybody's landing and then goes and picks them up from the airport and makes sure that they've got a free ride to their hotel. I'm like, Kevin, who are you? You're so amazing. Like, this guy is incredible. Now, his wife, Linda, is Mrs. Charisma. She's the most thoughtful person that I know. She's always showing genuine interest in you when she's talking to you. She's always bringing gifts for you when she sees you. She remembers people's birthdays. She sends cards in the mail for every special life moment. I mean, these two are both incredible leaders and everyone loves them. My favorite leadership author, John Maxwell, says that people only want to go along with those they get along with. And this is so true. So if you have to work on anything in leadership, it's work on having a genuine interest in other people. Now, because we're in the social media age, there's two types of charisma. There's charisma online and there's charisma offline. What does that mean? Let's talk about charisma online. Everyone wants to be liked and accepted by others. Wouldn't you agree? See, what's interesting about social media, though, is that you could be the most popular person in real life and you can have really great, healthy self-esteem. But on social media, if you post something and people don't like it or comment on it, you start to feel self-conscious. You start to second guess yourself. You're like, does anybody hear me? Does anybody see me? And unless you're a huge influencer, most people's posts get very few likes, if anybody, if anything. So the secret to showing charisma online is to learning how to be a good friend online. I've built quite a big social media following on Facebook, learning how to be a good friend. So what does it mean to be a good friend online? It's the same thing to be a good friend offline. What do we do? In real life, we cheer each other on. We say positive and encouraging things to our friends, right? Isn't that being a good friend? Being nice and encouraging to your friend. So how come I see some of my friends, my best friends, like, I mean, whether I grew up with them or my friends that I go out to dinner with every once in a while, I see them, I can see that they see my stories, your Facebook stories or your Instagram stories. You can see who sees them, but never once do they ever give a like to it. Never once. So it doesn't make me feel very loved. But guess what? When you like or comment on somebody's post, it makes them feel seen. It says, I see you. I understand you. I'm here for you. When you like someone's post, they like you for noticing them. When you comment positively on their post, they'll love you for caring enough to engage. People always ask me, I want to get on social media, but what should I post? They get intimidated. They think that being on social media is too hard. Well, I want to relieve you of this anxiety because what's more important is not what to post, but to like and comment on everybody else's post. See, it's not about being interesting. It's about being interested in other people. If you could be their number one cheerleader, guess what? You become their best friend online. And so the secret to success, life, and relationships is to have charisma, is to have genuine interest in other people. Let's talk about charisma offline. See, we live in this fast-paced digital world, and it's really easy to feel connected to so many people with millions of messages coming in all day. You know, we're connected to people on through texting, through Instagram, TikTok, Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram, Snapchat, WeChat, Facebook Messenger. Oh my goodness, it's exhausting even just thinking about all the channels that we have to check. GroupMe. I mean, I could go all day long. Teams. Anyway, we can connect with so many people and we can start more conversations than ever before. But why are we living in such a lonely and isolated society where people are reporting record numbers of depression and loneliness? See, while chatting and texting are great for quick interactions, what we really want to be doing to build deeper relationships is to pick up the phone and to be able to hear each other's voice. I've got really great friends, Nick and Tony Safani. These brothers, they started their careers in health insurance in their early 20s, and they're now national sales leaders. Everybody who knows them loves these brothers. And you know, a lot of it is relational. So for them, I've never received a text or an email from them, believe it or not. I've only ever gotten phone calls from them. They want to talk to you. They want to hear your voice. And man, it's like this incredible connection and rapport that you have with someone when you're talking to them on the phone. See, the emotional exchange that we get from talking is different than texting. If you're feeling down and you're my friend and we're just texting, and I'm like, hey, how are you? How's everything going? And they're like, everything's good. I'm okay, doing fine. Even if they're not doing fine, they could be having a really bad day and really be needing a friend to talk to. But because they said they're fine through a text, I don't know. But if I'm talking to them on the phone, I can hear, no, you're not doing fine. What's going on? Tell me what's happening. Right, so it's so important to pick up that phone and have that personal connection. Now let's talk about, this is supposed to say charisma and leadership, but let's talk about leadership. And here's the thing, you're a leader even starting at the bottom of your company. You could have an entry-level position at work, but you are a leader and you can lead right from where you are. You can lead the peers around you, which eventually gets you promoted to the next level. All right. And so let's talk about charisma and leadership. When you ask questions about other people, it shows that you care. So the first thing in leadership is you want to learn how to ask people questions about them. I once went on a date with this guy and all he did was talk about himself. Wah, wah. So it's like, I was not swept off my feet at all. He was more interested in trying to impress me and just talk about himself the whole entire time. He was not interested at all in trying to get to know me. But at the end, he said, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known you for years. Why? What happened? It's because he did all the talking. Usually when people are talking, they feel more connected to you. So when you ask questions about the other person, it helps them feel closer to you and have, more connected to you. Shawn Michael, one of the greats that I absolutely love, he likes to say, what's good in your life today? So he'll meet somebody, even he's meeting a complete stranger at a farmer's market, and he's like, hey, so tell me what's good in your life today. And it starts a really great conversation. And once they answer that question, ask a follow-up question. Sally Hassan likes to say, tell me more. So if someone tells you about what's good in their life today, I did that to this girl at AT&T. She was helping me with my phone. I'm like, so what's good in your life today? She's like, my coffee. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know what you mean. I was like, well, tell me more. And she's like, well, things have been really tough here, that we're understaffed. I'm working overtime. I'm taking on more responsibility. They're not paying me for it. And so just lean in. And that actually helped me lean in with her and encourage her and share with her a blessing and a gift that I wanted to share with her. So showing genuine interest in others, asking them questions, be fully present. Don't be multitasking when you're talking to people. I once interviewed somebody to be my personal assistant. She was over here at the house. And while I was interviewing her, she kept looking at her phone and responding to people while we were in the middle of a conversation. So I was thinking, okay, if this is how attentive you are while you're trying to get the job, how are you going to be while you're on the job? If you think about that. So being fully present when you're in front of people. And what I want to share with you about leadership, another question is, are you a lifter or are you a loader? I've seen good leaders and I've seen bad leaders, and the best leaders make people feel better about themselves. I got a partner, AJ Diliberto. This guy's one of the biggest lifters that I know. He's full of charisma. He's always telling everybody how much he believes in them and how amazing they are. He has something positive to pick out about each person that he works with. And while other leaders like to point out other people's flaws, AJ's always telling people how incredibly amazing that their strengths are. That's why I like to call him Coach AJ, because he cheers them on and he has such a genuine interest in seeing them win. So leading people is not about being interesting to them. It's about being interested in them. So this week in our interactions with people, let's focus on showing love and attention. And when you can do that, this is one of the highest paid people skills I can say that exists out there. Because when people feel connected to you, they will want to go along with you. And that is what leadership is all about. All right, welcome back, everybody. Just a quick announcement before we go to the next call that's starting the team call if you're on the team. But next week, we're going to be dark because it's the last weekend of the month. It's spring break for some people as well. So March 30th, I think that is, we're dark, March 30th. But we'll be back here on Sunday, April 6th. During that session, we'll be talking about the rules of money. Because if you don't make a financial plan, you will automatically make a spending plan. Ask me how I know. And we will be talking about those rules of money that will help you have more financial peace and abundance. We'll also be talking about how to speak up when people do things or say things to us that make us feel uncomfortable. We want to say something, but we don't know how to say it. And we feel like, I don't know what to say, but you need to say something about it. This will give you the exact formula on how to say it with confidence and love to feel good about that conversation that you're having and going to have. And then we're also going to talk about dating superpowers. We're going to reveal the one superpower that you can use while you're dating that will help you identify your true soulmate. Ooh, so very exciting that that's coming up on Sunday, April 6th. So please join us. If you'd like to get a copy of the Real World Superpowers book that we're going over, you can get it. Let me see. Let me put it in the chat. Whoops. Let me put it in the chat as your companion and your guide to be able to get more out of the sessions. You can get it at lizleq.now.site. And or you can find it on Amazon, and the hardcover is now in Barnes and Noble. But I appreciate all of you. Now, haven't put an audiobook together yet, but I guess eventually that'll be there. Yay, Deborah! Thank you for all your support. I love you guys. and we'll see you on the next call.